Sorry, I was, you know, chilling to the music. All right. Good morning, everyone. How are you doing out there? Let's, okay. I'm watching the numbers up in the corner up here go up and down. How many people are in here watching? And so kind of interesting. Got it to 8 there. Now it's back. All right. Now it's back up to 5. It went up to 8. And then all of a sudden it dropped down to 5, then dropped to 4, and it just came back up to 5. So if people are going to come in, I wish they'd stay for a little while, at least say hi to everybody. All right. First one in was Crew 1351, then Phelan Klein Wolf, then the Troop. And those are the only ones that are making comments, which means, we got 6 in here now. So please make a comment. Say hi to somebody in the chat. All right. Make a friend. Now, just to be clear on something, I am not modeling any of the characters in any of the books after those that are in the Troop or the Crew. I used to be, be the scoutmaster for them and crew advisor. So, however, I am taking their skill set and applying it to a different personality. And I know one of them who's and nobody named names here, okay? Because I know some of you know who I'm talking about. Some of them do have the skill sets that are mentioned in the books here. So yeah, but their personalities of those in the books are totally different than the real personality of whose skill sets I'm borrowing. All right. So yesterday we were working on. We actually got into chapter 5 a little bit because we made good time, even with the internet freezing up yesterday. We made good time getting through chapter 4. We got a little bit into chapter 5. Chapter 5 is going to be a bit long. We may or may not finish it today because it's like I said, it's a little bit longer than the others, and it's got a whole bunch of twists and turns in it, folks. All right, so I'm just watching numbers. Now the numbers are back down to 4. They just now went up again to 7 and back down to 4. I think what it is we got trolls coming in. And when they find out that they got to subscribe for 5 minutes, they just go back out because they can't make derogatory comments and stuff. Well, being once they subscribe to the channel, yeah, they can unsubscribe, but they're already tagged and they can be traced. So they, they're little basement dwellers in their mommy's basement and want to be able to bring other people down to try to build themselves up. So, alrighty, so let's get on to this. Oh, hang on. So Crew got an ad for a D&D game. Okay. Phelan got the nefarious homes.com and Harbor Freight. I guess I think he wants to buy a home and move out where he's paying rent right now. And Troop also got a Harbor Freight ad as well as others. So, all right, folks, let's move on here. Pick up where we were at here. Let me shove myself up to the corner up here, and there we go. And so we ran out of hit the time limit yesterday in the middle of a confrontation with Heaven's Devils, and yeah, so some stuff going on. So I'm going to pick up here. Let me unhighlight this, and that's where we're going to pick up with that paragraph. So 3 seconds before the lead motorcycle started to slow for the debris, the last motorcycle passed Kimberly, and she slipped from her hiding spot and began working her way forward through the 30 motorcycles at the back of the convoy with a Tori Hanso katana. I don't need to put sword on there. I thought I already took care of that one. When Abigail shot the tire, and that's in the paragraph before. Keep it from being confusion here. K-I-M, Kimber. Kimberly had already decapitated 8 of the motorcycle drivers and several of their passengers. Kimberly was running between the 2 columns of motorcycles, striking to the left and to the right. Her Hattori Hanzo katana surprised her with the ease of which it passed through the necks of the bikers. She found out later she sliced the necks of more of the passengers than she wanted to as well. Kimberly had surmised that the majority of the passengers were female, and she wanted to take some of them prisoner for questioning. She was 3/4 of the way through the motorcycles when Abigail said, "Rider secured." As soon as she said that, 24 of her group swarmed onto the highway. 16 targeted the 4 pickups. Targeted the 4 pickups. A 4-person team per pickup, 2 each side. One member would quickly open the driver's door, and another one would open the passengers. The bikers were shot 3 times in the chest, and if they were not wearing a seatbelt, they were quickly pulled from the pickup. If they were wearing a seatbelt, the belt was cut, and then they were pulled from the pickup before they bled too much in it. As soon as the driver was out of the pickup, someone would hop in and stop the pickup and turn it off. The other 8 swarmed those that Kimberly left alive behind her. Kimberly hurried to get to the last one when she realized that they were raising their hands in surrender, and they didn't know she was behind them. She set her katana on the driver's shoulder and slid it forward until she was sure both driver and passenger could see the blood-coated blade with the edge facing their necks. She knew they had because they both stiffened. As soon as their target pickup was secured, the teams quickly moved to help secure the bikers that Kimberly had left alive for questioning. They all went by Kimberly and her two prisoners. "We surrender. May we remove our helmets?" The driver spoke, revealing that she was a female. "Slowly, or you end up like most of those behind you." "Most?" The driver asked in surprise. "9 survived my Hattori Hanzo katana." The passenger gasped loudly and repeated, "Hattori Hanzo katana?" Kimberly groaned. "You've got to be kidding." "You haven't got to be kidding me." "What?" the driver asked. "Shut up," Kimberly hissed. Then she turned and yelled, "Duct tape!" Oh, we got 7 in here. Hey, how's everybody doing? Please leave a comment, say hi to somebody in the chat. And they're dropping back out. They must not want to make any friends here. Just then, several explosions ripped through the air, followed by automatic weapon fire that lasted about 10 seconds. Mandy Miller and Kate Jensen ran over and started duct taping the drivers and passengers' hands behind their backs. "I need to come clean," the driver said, and was interrupted by his passenger. "No, don't. I need you." "I am Staff Sergeant Jenny Holland, USMC 4th Forcon, AWOL." She took a deep breath. "Please don't hurt my baby sister." Just then, Mandy's radio came to life. "First element eliminated. RV contained, but still dangerous," Larry said. "Bus eliminated," Peyton added. "Rider truck secure and drivable once the left front tire is changed," Abigail Gail reported. Costco 1 secured. Costco 2 secured. And their mouths, Kimberly said to Kate and Mandy when they finished duct taping the Staff Sergeant Jenny Holland and her passengers' hands. Walmart 1 secured. Walmart 2 secured. Grocery 1 secured. Grocery 2 secured. Tankard secured. Element 2 eliminated. Bakery 1 secured. Bakery 2 secured. Put your earpiece back in, Kimberly told Mandy, and then keyed her throat mic. Pickups 1, 2, 3, 4 secured. Third element. 11 prisoners. The remainder decapitated. Copy reports. Red Assassin. Green Archer. Can you come to the RV? On our way, Michael replied. Sure shot. Move to my location, Larry instructed. Kimberly turned to look in Michael's direction and saw her mom, Michael's mom, and the Houston standing next to Michael. Mom, Major Houston, ma'am. Once the RV is handled and Lieutenant Robinson gives the all clear, could you take these two to room S1 and watch them until I get there with the MI6 interrogator? Sure thing, Special Agent Jackson, Nola said as she scrutinized the face of Staff Sergeant Jenny Holland. She was not disappointed. Kimberly saw it too. Then she turned and followed Michael up the highway towards the RV. Duct tape their eyes too, she said over her shoulder, but don't move them. But don't move them. But do not move them any. Hang on, I gotta fix this sentence. I'm gonna just take that out of there. But do not move any of them until we give the all clear. Where do you want the others at? Noah called after them. The barn, Michael replied. Okay. Interesting. Okay. I just thought the light flickered here on me. I just realized what time it is. It's my new UPS Mega 1. I'm using it as a uninterrupted power supply for the computers. And it just switched from being on the Mega 1. If I don't know if you can hear the noise picking up, it's switched over. So we're now on the cheaper electricity time. So now it's charging. So we'll see what happens here. As Michael and Kimberly walked towards the front of the biker convoy, they noticed how everyone was in an unusually happy mood. Well, not really happy, but in a good mood considering they're removing dead bikers from the cabs of the trucks or stacking motorcycle riders to be picked up for disposal. By the time they had reached the first Costco truck, his curiosity was getting the best of him. Why is everyone so upbeat? Michael asked those cleaning the blood and window glass out of the cab of the truck. Well, smiled Bethany Jensen, as she and her 15-year-old son, Billy, were busy cleaning the cab. None of our people got hurt. We have 9 trucks of supplies, most of which should be food, trailer, and your team captured 11 prisoners to capture with more information. I think that's a very good reason to be happy. Oh, Michael said, a little taken back. I hadn't thought of it that way. I would have just been relieved. Thank you for your insight, Mrs. Jensen. We need to make sure everyone watches the post-traumatic stress disorder videos, Kimberly said. Even with the numbers we have watched, this whole sorry, I'm trying to figure this out here because it doesn't sound just quite right when I say it out loud. This whole way Let me just take the hole out of it and see what it looks like. This way we have I'm going to change this here. Let's see how this sounds. Even with the number of times we've watched him, this way that we've been dealing with the heavens devils is starting to get on my nerves, and it has to be getting on others as well. Tomorrow after tomorrow's morning run, we'll have a general meeting and bring it up, Michael said. And after a few seconds asked, so what about those prisoners has you so don't hit me, but agitated? Not agitated, frustrated, she replied. Okay, what has you so frustrated? I think the passenger recognized me as Juby Chan. I slipped up and said my Hattori Hanzo katana, and she gasped like she knew who I was. And I meant something to her. Dang. I was thinking words that Peyton uses when we drop our gear, Kimberly said. Michael stopped in his tracks and busted out laughing. Kimberly glared at him for a couple seconds and started giggling, and finally joined him laughing too. We can't tell Peyton. He'll use some new words on us. When they were chuckling at what words Peyton would string together when they got to the back of the rider truck. LT, Green Archer. Go, Green Archer. Has anyone checked the rider out? Negative. I'm going to take a quick look, Michael said, as he released the hatch and rolled the door up. As the door reached the top, Kimberly and Michael stood staring at the full box van. The bikers had even put some cross braces to keep the content from shifting against the door. LT, Sure Shot called this one right. This baby is loaded to the top. I see cases of C4 Semtex, various calibers of ammunition, primer core, claymores, even several cases of M84 stun grenades. Michael said as he climbed up onto it and pulled a case of M84s down from the top of one of the stacks of crates. LT, what's the situation with the bikers in the RV? Kimberly asked. They say they have 3 hostages, and if we don't clear a path for them, they'll start tossing out body parts. We have several M84s we can give them as a party present, Kimberly said. Make that plan B, Larry said. I want to talk them out first if we can. You work on plan A, we'll take care of plan B, Kimberly said. But right now, I need my mom and Major Houston to bring my 2 prisoners up here to the back of the rider truck. I need to talk to them. I got 2 Fostech Origin 12 shotguns up here. Michael said he's worked his way around the top and stack of supplies. Here are some 20-round drum magazines. Wait, here's a case of 30-round drum magazines. Now I just need some 3-inch 12-gauge shotgun shells and number 3 buck shot. I'll open the side door and see what they have stacked there. Be careful not to dislodge the stacks. If they shift, if they should shift and fall on you, the weight would kill you. You come down then. The front half is stacked to the roof. I'm not seeing anything else we're going to need right now that I can get to. So I'm coming down. Okay, hand the stuff down when you can. He pushed the things he dug out towards the back and stopped as the thought came to him. And he felt like a dummy. Do you know how to operate the lift gate on this truck? I'll figure it out, Kimberly replied and then snickered. How to use this lift gate for dummies. You can't use that. You're not a dummy, Michael fired back. Kimberly snorted. Thank you, babe. And she started the lift gate. Kimberly and Michael were sitting on the liftgate, finishing loading the drums magazines for the Fostech Origin 12 shotguns when Monica and Noel and Janet came around the Costa truck with Staff Sergeant Jenny Holland and her passenger still duct tape over their eyes. You could have removed the tape so they could walk without tripping, Michael said. Hey, when your wife to be says duct tape their eyes, we do and leave it on until told otherwise, Janet said. Okay, take the duct tape off their eyes and mouth. Off the taller one's eyes and mouth. She has some questions to answer. Monica carefully removed the duct tape from Jenny's eyes and mouth. Thank you for putting chapstick on my lips and eyebrows first, Jenny said to Monica. When she looked at Kimberly, what would you like to know? Who's in the RV? That would be Eagle Eye Eddie, the chapter president, Monk, his right-hand man, Thomas, the chapter's treasurer, and Wrench, Eddie's bodyguard and driver. Then there should be three women there there should be three women that belong to Eddie, Monk, and Thomas. I don't know their names. We just hooked up with them 2 days ago. So no hostages in the RV? Jenny snorted and added, no hostages in the entire group other than us. Thank you, Kimberly said, and keyed up her throat mic. LT, there are no hostages in the RV. There are three women that belong to the chapter leaders. Chapter leaders are Eagle Eye Eddie, Monk, and Thomas. The driver is Wrench. He is also Eagle Eye Eddie's bodyguard. Copy that, Larry replied. Wrench is down. Any suggestions? Yeah, tell them we know they're lining up the hostages, and we have 11 prisoners who are telling us everything they know, trying to get witness protection for turning state's evidence. If that doesn't get them out, then Michael and I will blow out 2 windows and toss in 4 M84s. If that doesn't work, we'll start shredding the RV with the Fostech 12 Origin 12 shotguns we found in the rider. We have them loaded with number 3 buckshot and 30 drum round magazines. Hold tight until I tell you which way to go, okay? Larry stated more than asked. Copy that, Kimberly said. All right, let me take a... All right. Oh, yeah, we got 4 there. Okay, checking something here. All right. Yeah, I was just checking something, making sure I didn't mix something up here. All right. Okay. You do realize who you're dealing with, Staff Sergeant Holland stated more than asked. Heavens devils, Kimberly smirked. Well, Eagle Eye Eddie said it's supposed to be over, let's see what this is. Yeah, 700 of them coming here. Jenny stated, you may want to sneak out of here like we were going to do. We've killed over 400 so far, Michael chimed in. I think you switched to the wrong team, Lieutenant Colonel Nola Houston observed. You should have stayed in the Corps. I was using them to get closer to Idaho, I thought. That's enough for now, Kimberly interrupted. I'd rather conduct your interview with the MI6 interrogator present. So to keep you two from fabricating this story, the duct tape goes back on. I understand, Jenny said. Oh, can I have some more chapstick, please? Sure, Monica said. She pulled out a tube of chapstick and smeared some on her finger, then coated Jenny's lips and eyebrows. Thank you, Jenny said. Hang on. Yeah, and I want to add that in there. Oh, Then a muffled then a loud scream rang out from the RV, followed by a shit, they shot my leg off. Oh, Thomas, baby. Oh, shit, I've been shot, came a female voice. Immediately, they heard glass shatter, followed by two more female screams. Kimberly grabbed the Fostech and two M84s and started running past the smoking ruins of the bus. Michael was a half second behind her with two more M84s. Larry's voice, shouting. Then came Larry's voice shouting, Eddie Monk, do you want to be fed to the hogs alive? What are you talking about? We feed those that don't cooperate to the hogs. Usually they are dead, but sometimes they're still alive. So what do you want to be, hog food or a prisoner? Can I have a minute to decide? Larry saw Kimberly and Michael running towards the RV. 5 seconds, then the Marine 3rd Forcon will mess you up bad. You said you was Army. Kimberly dropped the Fostech on its sling and pulled the pin for the two M84s that she was carrying, but held the spoon handles down. Michael saw what she was doing and followed suit. I am, Larry answered loudly, but these are Marines. As Kimberly ran into the big window that had been shot out, she tossed two of them. She tossed the two, 1, 2, 3, M84s in the window. A half second later, Michael tossed his two in. They heard an ow a second before the M84s started going off. When a M84 flashbang in an enclosed space such as the RV would have been incapacitating. 4 of them was downright devastating to those inside. Kimberly kept running until she reached the open door. Kimberly kept running, and when she reached the open door, she reached out with her right boot and kicked the biker she presumed was Thomas in the head, knocking him out. And the next instant, she punched a female who's moaning next to the side of her head, also knocking her out. As Kimberly made to enter the RV, she said to Michael, she pointed to the window, "Watch." Michael turned back to the window and brought his Fostech up to the shoulder. Michael heard the sounds of blows being landed in rapid succession. Then a biker came flying out of the window and landed in a heap on the edge of the pavement. More blows. A second biker came out the window and landed on the first. Grunt from either one of them. Then a female biker came out, followed almost immediately by a second female biker. They too landed on the first biker. RV cleared. Collapse on the RV to secure prisoners. Kimberly radioed. You heard her, people. Let's get those prisoners secured and the highway cleared, Larry ordered. Babe, could you please have her mom's take Jenny and her sister to room S2 instead of S1? I want to put these three in S1. Sure thing, Michael answered. What was with you going inside by yourself? Did you feel the cushion from those flashbangs? My head hurts and we were outside. I figured there's no way they were going to be able to be ready for me. Be ready for me. And if they were that tough, I'd be able to toss them out the window and you would need you to cover them. Yeah, I agree. Tossing 4 in was a bit much. 2 would have done just as well, or maybe even 1. Michael chuckled as he stuck a finger in his ear and wiggled it as he walked away. Oh, okay, number just dropped from 5, so someone was in here and backed out. We must be getting a lot of trolls coming by, and because I'm not seeing any more increases of comments. So let me check something over here on this one. I'm gonna hit refresh over here and see what that is. All right. As you walk away, Kimberly looked around at the people hustling to get the prisoners' wounds bandaged to stop their bleeding so they'd still be alive to be interrogated later. Motorcycles and bikers' bodies were being removed. The snowplow and Cat 950 loader were brought up to remove the remains of the bus. And Larry was stalking towards her with a very serious expression on his face. Oh, I guess he didn't give the order. He didn't order to shoot or fire. He thinks I did, she thought to herself. All right. Hang on. Okay. And just checking something here. Yep. Okay. All the ones that are coming in and visiting, are not putting comments or a thumbs up. Okay. Alrighty. So yeah, we've been getting nothing but trolls sneaking in. Yeah. When he got close enough to speak without drawing attention, Larry opened his mouth to speak, but Kimberly beat him to it. Not me. I thought you did until I saw you coming. Larry reared back a window. Larry reared back a little. If it wasn't us, then who? Kimberly was about to speak when one of the adults called them over to look at Thomas's wound. We had to put a tourniquet on to stop the bleeding, but there's so much damage to the knee and lower leg it's barely attached. Duct tape the wound up and we'll interrogate him first. Kimberly fired off quickly. But be sure to secure his hands and mouth and eyes. He may be wounded, but he's still a dangerous killer and rapist. She nodded to Kimberly and went back to work on Thomas. I'm going to need to take 2 of the prisoners back to either clear them or convict them. I should have that task completed by the time Eddie, Monk, and Thomas are prepped in S1. And the rest of the prisoners are prepped in the barn. We will question the guys first and then do the women if that's okay with you. I think that's a good idea, but I have a question, Larry said. What's so special about those 2 you want to question them first? She identified herself as Staff Sergeant Jenny Holland, 4th Forcon, and her little sister. Whoa, Larry exclaimed. That could be good or bad. That's how I want to get it done ASAP. Oh, and she provided the names of those in the RV. When are you planning on telling Deputy Marshal Finley? Larry asked in a way that said, "That's your job." Darn it, Kimberly muttered and then added, "Not until afterwards." That's probably for the best, especially if it turns out she switched back to the gang. That's what I'm hoping didn't happen. She looked at Larry hopefully. It looks like your special prisoners have quite the escort. Kimberly looked down the road and saw her mother with a tight grip on Jenny's upper arm. Janet holding the little sister's upper arm. Nola and Nora walking behind, and Michael leading the way. Behind them were 9 other prisoners, also with 2 escorts each. She turned back to Larry. I figured that the women aren't going to try to be so tough, and will tell what they know a lot quicker. I hope. I bet they've overheard things that the others didn't realize that they did, especially the 3 from the RV. I hope that those 3 are more scared of you than pissed about being shot, Larry added. Speaking of them getting shot, Kimberly nodded to the hillside. I think your shooters want to talk to you. Larry turned around at the trio standing there and let slip a curse. It was Abigail, his 16-year-old cousin Lisa, and one of the girls from Alpine, Marta, he believed her name was. Do you want to talk to them now? Kimberly asked with a hint of wickedness in her voice. Sure, but I thought you wanted to go. I do, but I'll set it up for you. Kimberly stabbed a finger out at the 3 girls quickly, then inverted her hand and wiggled the index finger to come in a come here movement. She then quickly raised her hand and even faster drove it down towards the ground, pointing at the pavement in front of her and Larry, and shouted, "Now!" The expression on the 3 girls' faces changed in an instant from a little smug to "oh shit," and they started moving towards her and Larry. When they reached him, Kimberly held up a finger to stop them from speaking. You 3 shot Thomas and the 3 women, didn't you? Yes, they answered meekly. Thanks for nothing, Kimberly growled. You threw our plan into shambles and probably screwed up the interrogation of them. Kimberly paused, her finger held up. The guys are going to be more stubborn because we shot their women, and the women are going to be mistrusting because you shot them. She held her stance for several seconds and then yelled, "Ah!" Turned and walked away, growling, "I can't deal with them. They're yours." Larry shook his head side to side for several seconds. Unload your weapons. Get your butts back to classroom 1. Don't talk to each other. You almost got Kimberly and Michael seriously hurt with that stunt of yours. Go. Michael loaded Jenny and her sister, Janet, Nora, and Nola into the Class A RV. When the 3 girls had unloaded their weapons, he had them get in as well. Larry had the 3 wounded biker women loaded up. Was about to send them off when the rest of the prisoners brought up. Larry quickly looked inside the RV and saw there was plenty of room, so he had the 9 women loaded, as well as their It was more than 5 because there was 2 each. Okay, as well as 5 of their guards. Yeah, that'll work. As soon as Kimberly and Michael got back to the campground, they brought those that stayed there to receive supplies and the captured bikers up to speed on everything that had transpired and the number of prisoners and which rooms or locations they were going to be taken. When the RV pulled in, Michael and Kimberly went outside before anyone could come out. Kimberly had filled Michael in on what Larry told the 3 girls to do. When he saw them, he just glared at them and pointed to the maintenance building and walked hurriedly past Michael and Kimberly out of the RV and into the building. Kimberly motioned to her mom and Janet and Nola to stay where they were. Kimberly addressed the prisoners. You may not recognize my voice, but I'm the one who didn't kill you when I had the chance. If you do not cooperate, you will wish that I had killed you. Here are some of the rules. 1, you'll answer questions immediately when asked the question. Fail to do so, and I will smash your fingertip with my little 4-pound sledgehammer. 2, swear, and I'll smash I will smash another fingertip. 3, lie, and I will smash multiple finger bones. Take a crap while being questioned, and well, we have a red hot soldering iron that'll be used to cauterize that hole shut. 4, try to escape or hurt one of your guards, and I will feed you alive to the hogs. Then she tapped Jenny and her sister on the shoulder. Yes, Oliver?
I'm hungry again.
You're hungry again. Well, give me about a half an hour, and I'll come and get you something else. You're really eating a lot of food today, aren't you?
Yeah, I want to grow.
You want to grow, okay. All right, let's got several more people in. All right. For those that came in and seeing you got to wait 5 minutes to make a comment, that's because we've had trolls coming in trying to make nasty comments, and the trolls don't want to subscribe to the channel. So, yeah. Feel free to go ahead and subscribe. It costs you nothing, folks. All right, let's see. Then, I'm going to put her name. Kimberly tapped Jenny and her sister on the shoulder and said, you and you stand up. Lieutenant Moore, escort this one, pointing to Jenny, to S2. Sergeant Robinson, escort this one there as well. As Jenny and her sister were getting out of the RV, Kimberly spoke to the 12 prisoners. Major Houston will oversee your preparation for questioning. Major, they're yours. Thank you, CIA Special Agent in Charge Jackson. Nola said and smiled at all the squirming that little lie caused. Kimberly smiled too and waved five adult women into the RV to help prepare the prisoners for questioning. Then she addressed the prisoners again. Enjoy the ride. I'll be with you after I get done with Eagle Eye, Eddie, Monk, and Thomas. As Kimberly got out of the RV, Nola Houston, still in the driver's seat, turned back front and started the engine. Kimberly walked quickly into the maintenance building as the RV pulled away to head to the barn at the old historic ranger station. She took a quick look in the storage room of one of the She took a quick look in the storage room, in storage room 1, and the interrogation tools were there, so were still there. So she grabbed the 4-pound hand drilling hammer. These they would take over to the barn after they finished with the 3 leaders of the Barstow chapter of Heaven's Devils. Tomorrow they would need to go to Kanab and get a second set to use as they were meant to be used for, she thought to herself. Then she also talked, and they also needed to talk to Police Chief Peel about them taking the initiative in dealing with future groups of Heaven's Devils and other troublemakers. When she stepped back out of the room, Nola was standing there by the door to the storage room 2, not in her MI6 outfit. Hang on. BDU outfit, but in a British Royal Navy commander's uniform. But there was also something else different as well. Where did you get the uniform? Hang on. She asked. My mom made it with the help of my aunt. Then Kimberly realized that the balaclava and blackout face paint were gone. In their place was a single piece molded black face mask. Where'd you get the face mask? Kimberly asked. Corey made it for me. It's Kydex. She blushed as she whispered, he tries to be so gentle when doing my makeup or making the mold of my face. It's as if he's afraid he's going to break me. Kimberly smiled and giggled. I think you like it, she said softly so no one else could hear. Nora giggled and struggled to get herself under control. We need to get our game faces on. Right, Kimberly agreed and shook her hands and arms out to get rid of the giggles. Then she keyed her throat mic. Michael, are they watching the video? Yes, he responded softly. I'm going to go to the next one. I'm ready to go to the next one. Just say the word. Pause it. We're coming in. Nora reached down and snapped up the soft-sided satchel briefcase as Kimberly opened the door to the storage room 2. Nora walked in first, and she was totally in her character mode. She grabbed the folding chair as she passed by it. And dragged it to where she was going to sit. And with a flip of the wrist, opened it and set it down. Kimberly stepped up to Jenny's sister and pulled the duct tape from her mouth. She pulled duct tape from her mouth and eyes. Then she held up the 4-pound hand drilling hammer. Wait, I'm sorry. The eyes are already cleared because I've been watching the video. Yeah, because Michael all removed it so they could watch the video. Then she held up the 4-pound hand drilling hammer in front of her and asked, do you understand the rules? Yes, she said quickly. Then she gestured to Nora. I am Royal Navy Commander of MI6, assigned to the DOD through your State Department to interrogate members of criminal gangs and suspected terrorists. My code name is Angel of Death. I'll be conducting this interrogation and recording your answers. Do you understand? Nora said in her, not English accent, British accent. B-R-I-T, in her British accent. Yes, they both said. Those Jenny's was muffled because her mouth was still duct taped. Red Assassin, please put the headset on whichever one you want to question last. Kimberly placed the headset on Jenny. Name, Nora asked. Elisa Holland. Age 17. Where are your parents? My dad died in prison. After Jenny disappeared, police found kitty porn on his laptop and he went to prison. He was killed 6 months later. Alicia paused. And your mother? She died a year ago, drug and alcohol overdose. Who were you living with since then? My aunt. She went to the store almost 2 weeks ago and never came back. The police said that she was killed in a mugging. When did Jenny pick you up? 9 days ago in Kingman. Actually, she met me at Aunt Lily's house 9 days ago. We stayed there for 3 days before we left. Why did you stay? Jenny had to sell the house and get supplies. Where are the supplies? In the pickup with the camper shell is Jenny's. Supplies are inside of it. Kimberly looked over at Michael and nodded to the door. Michael nodded back and slipped out the door. And the motorcycle you're riding, that belonged to the guy that was driving Jenny's truck. Why were you riding with Heavens? She could get them to help us get to Utah. Why were you trying to get to Utah? Actually, we're trying to get to Idaho. Jenny's best friend from the Marines is up there working for a rich guy as a bodyguard. Jenny said that she can help us. Do you know where in Idaho? Indian Valley in Adams County. Oh, I forgot. Please don't smash my finger. Jenny's friend is also working for the sheriff's department as a part-time deputy. What's Jenny's friend's name? Master Gunnery Sergeant Kathy Dyer. What do you know of Gunny Dyer? Kimberly practically shouted. Just her name. Hang on, I do want to do this right. I want to change this up. Just her name. Make it really look like she's really scared now. There we go. And that she and Jenny did some MP time for fun at Camp Pendleton. She's supposed to be an amazing Marine, and she had a crush on an officer with Oceanside PD, but he has a girlfriend. Kimberly turned to Jenny and yanked the headset off her head and ripped the tape from her mouth. Tell me about your friend in Idaho. Kimberly glared at her and held up the 4-pound hammer. Her name is Kathy Dyer, Master Gunnery Sergeant Kathy Dyer. She's 32, single, although she has a crush on JT. That's John Thomas of Oceanside PD Motor Unit. She was a young Marine at 8 and did a couple years of ROTC, graduated high school early and enlisted with a special waiver at 16 and a half. List her ribbons. All but the Purple Heart, and I mean all, including the Congressional Medal of Honor. Who did she say was the scariest non-Marine she ever sparred with? That was Major Jackson's daughter. What was her name? I don't remember. It was over 2.5 years ago that she told me. Jenny replied a bit nervously. His daughter's name is... Alicia stopped when Kimberly glared hard at her. Looking at her sister, Jenny, how would you know? Wait, you mean those videos of that ninja girl? That? Is the Major's daughter? Well, what has that to do with her? She nodded towards Kimberly. She has both her eyes. So does Juby Chan, the ninja girl, Alicia said despite Kimberly's glare. Jenny stared at Kimberly and asked, who are you? Kimberly just glared at Jenny. Who did the colonel address her as when we were getting off the RV? Alicia interjected. CIA Special Agent in Charge Jackson. Jenny said. Jackson was only true part of that, wasn't it? Alicia asked Kimberly. Correct. Major Houston was testing you. She's a profiler and human lie detector for the Marine Corps law enforcement program. So who are you? You're not the major's daughter. She has one eye and you have both your eyes. Kimberly grinned at her teeth. Outside, Staff Sergeant, she growled and spun up towards the door and stalked over and threw it open. Clear the mat, she hollered. Ladies, Nora spoke politely in her British accent. I don't know how this last couple times got changed from British to English. And gestured to the door. By the time they got out the door, Kimberly had stripped off her MCU blouse and was working on her boots as she hopped across the practice mat. Then she shouted, untape her hands so she can strip down the bra and panties too. Jenny stumbled at that. Several girls came over and started pulling the duct tape off her hands and guided her to one of the tables on the south wall near where Kimberly was placing her clothes. One of them whispered, "Take your beating and make it look like you're trying, trying, but don't hit her back." And absolutely don't wimp out. It'll piss her off and she'll beat you worse. And don't cuss, another one whispered. Jenny peeled the MCU suit blouse off and tossed it on the table. This is ridiculous. Actually, she's not in uniform because she was traveling with them, so this is ridiculous. Then her T-shirt hit the table. Then her T-shirt hit the table, and she left her. And she left her sports bra on and started on her boots. It always is when you know you're going to lose, Jennifer Jefferson said. Jenny snapped her head to the girl. Knock off the psyops. If she fights fair and doesn't use weapons, I'll beat her. She flicked her socks onto the table and started to undo her belt. The girls chuckled. Just then, the sound of what most people thought was a machine gun echoed through the maintenance building. A lot of people there flinched, including Jenny. Then it happened again, and everybody saw it was Kimberly hitting the practice wooden man. The speed at which she was hitting it made everyone's mouths open a little or eyes bug out. She's pissed. You're dead, Jennifer Jefferson. That's it. Said flatly and winked at Alicia. Who are you? Jenny asked as she dropped her pants on the table, showing that she too was wearing green boxer briefs. Jennifer Jefferson, Kimberly's second cousin. So what did you do to piss her off so much? Bad choices. A large crack resounded through the room. Shit, Kimberly grunted. Mr. Baker, I'm sorry, I need another arm. A chuckle came from the other side of the room. Like I didn't see that coming. A bunch of people chuckled. There are 5 more in the storage room. And Howie's in the house. Food for Forest Permaculture's here. Hey, Howie. Thank you. Let me know what you later what I owe you for them, Kimberly said. Said a bit more subdued. Then she turned back and looked at Jennifer, and the fire in her eyes, and the fire returned to her eyes. We're going to have return to her eyes. Just then, Michael came in from outside. I secured their pickup. None of our people had gotten into it yet. As he walked to the mat, what's going on? We're going to have a hands-on lesson, Kimberly said through her gritted teeth. Michael walked up to her and looked her in the eyes. If that's what you really want to do, but he paused. Hang on, I need to capitalize that. He paused for effect and pointed to her left eye. Take it out first. Kimberly blinked and opened her mouth to speak when Michael cut her off. Murphy's Law. I don't want your eye injured because of an unbelievably lucky blow. But no buts. Michael cut her off and then whispered to her, I don't want you wearing a gauze patch at our wedding. Kimberly pulled back wide-eyed and stared at Michael for several seconds. Then she nodded and turned to the table where her MCCUs were at and walked to it. As she did, Michael quipped, Those are sexy hot in the daylight. 6 more days, Lieutenant Moore, 6 more days. Then she dug into her blouse breast pocket and pulled out the contact lens case and opened it. She removed the special contact lens from her left eye and put it in the case and closed it. Then she put the case back in the pocket and took out one of her black, BLAC, black eye patches and put it on. 6 more days until what? See what Kimberly was doing. We're getting married Saturday, Michael answered. When Kimberly turned around with the eye patch on, Jenny exclaimed, Holy shit, you are the major's daughter. That's right, Kimberly smirked. Now get ready for the first of your daily beatings. Wait a second, what did I do to piss you off? So bad. I got hold of the after-action report for the operation in which my father was killed. Certain names were redacted, but not their rank. A certain female staff sergeant went outside the perimeter and got herself captured. My father led the operation to rescue her. She was rescued, but my father and 2 others were killed. 6 months later, I got a copy of the 4th Forcon's personnel roster. There was only 1 female staff sergeant listed. You want to guess who that was? Staff Sergeant Jennifer Cindy Holland. 6 months after the operation, I was the only female staff sergeant left in the 4th Forcon. 2 others were transferred out, and another had committed suicide. What? Maria Sanchez was sneaking outside to have a relationship with a local guy. She didn't know he was setting her up. After the dust settled, the 4 of us were ordered not to disclose who the guilty party was. However, that meant the 3 of us could not say that it was not us. We were scorned and picked on by those who did not know the truth. So we in turn harassed Sanchez, trying to get her to come forward and publicly say that she was responsible and the rest of us had nothing to do with the major's death. I rode her harder than the others. The scorn from those that did not know the truth was getting so hard on me that I could hardly stand it. One night I told her that she could look forward to blanket parties every night until she came forward and made a public statement that it was her fault the major died. The next day she drove off a cliff. NCIS found her diary and where she wrote that she could not live with the guilt anymore. Jenny took a deep breath and then continued. The next month, Franks and Jones transferred out, and I was the only female staff sergeant left in the 4th Forcon when you got the staff roster. I feel I pushed her to commit suicide. Kimberly took a step back and looked at Jenny. So you're saying it wasn't you, but Sanchez who caused my father to die? Yes. But I wouldn't blame you if you decided I don't believe me or beat me, even if you do believe me. Can you prove any of this? Yes. Cat, Master Gunnery Sergeant Kathy Dyer was there when NCIS found the diary. I have a ham radio frequency that I'm supposed to be able to contact her at when I get to Idaho. Get dressed. You have to. You can give us. Get dressed, and you can give it to us, so we can verify your story. Kimberly said as she turned back and walked to where her clothes were. But aren't you going to beat me for putting my sister at risk by riding with Heaven's Devils? Oh, you're going to pay for that. Just not the way you think. She flexed her muscles and grunted at Jenny. Why do I think my life would have been so much simpler if I had skipped riding along with Heaven Devils and tried hiking. Lieutenant Jackson, Colonel Albert Houston barked as he entered the maintenance bay. Yes, Colonel, Kimberly answered back smartly. Are you brawling with enlisted personnel? He asked as the tension in his voice, No, Colonel, we worked that out, although I did break the wooden man again. Well, get your clothes back on. You have 2 groups to interrogate. Aye, aye, sir. Where are our 3 rogue snipers? Albert asked. Classroom 1, Michael said, pointing. Thank you. He replied and went to the room and entered. Okay, let's see. I need to go give Oliver something to eat. So I will be back in a couple of minutes. And yeah, all right, be back there. Okay. I just realized I still had the wrong avatar up there from last night's live stream. Okay. So, let's see. Yeah, I fed the little guy. He wanted a hot dog and with ketchup and mustard on it. Oh, the twists are just beginning, guys. The twists are just beginning. All right. When Albert entered the room, he found the three girls with notepads writing away. He walked behind them and read over their shoulders what they were writing. They were listing out everything they did wrong today. After that, after he had read each of their lists, he walked back to the front of the room. You are just beginning to figure out what happened. Once you think you have all your, once you think you have, comma, list all of your faults. Then start a new page and write down what could have happened. Then he turned to leave and he turned back to look at the rifles and looked at the rifles on the table in front of each girl. What's your name? He asked the first girl. Lisa Robinson, age 16. This is my Ruger precision rifle in 5.6 Creedmoor. It has a 24-inch barrel and I use subsonic ammunition. The next girl was Abigail. So this is your 72 caliber rifle. Impressive. Then he moved to the third girl. And you are? Marta Jordan, age 16. I shoot Ruger Hawkeye long-range target in 6.5 Creedmoor. It has a 26-inch barrel. I also use subsonic ammunition. Impressive weapons. Dangerous weapons. He put his hands behind his back and rocked front to back, from heels to toe, then back again as he thought. You are young and you can learn from this, and become better thinkers and planners. Don't protest your punishments. In fact, ask for more. He then turned again and left the room. When Kimberly got dressed again, she did so in her ninja outfit, including the red skull face balaclava. Then she took Jenny and Alicia over to the table outside of storage room 1, where the three lead bikers were secured for their interrogation, and had them sit down in front of the group of 4 TV monitors they recovered from one of the Walmart trucks. Each one had an image of the bikers, of the biker leaders on it. One had a view of the room from the corner near the ceiling. Hang on, I need to change this. That's 5 TV monitors. Okay, the last, no, never mind. The last one showed Nora as Commander Eleanor Smythe talking to the bikers. She was gesturing to a TV on a table next to her. Hubert explained what they were being shown the same video they were being shown the same video that they had been shown. Alicia spoke hesitantly. Why didn't you make us get naked when you were questioning us? 2 reasons. Well, 3 actually. First, your sister blurted out her name and rank. Second, she let me know that you were her baby sister. Both of those gave me leverage over her and you. so I took a different approach to your questioning. And third, I don't want Michael to see any naked women besides me, especially before we get married. Wow, and you still have 21 months before you get married? Lisa stated. What? Jenny asked in shock that her sister knew that. There are a couple of videos on YouTube where they're talking to groups of teenagers about not having sex until they are married. That everyone should do the same if they can, Alicia said. Elisa, not Alicia. Elisa. Then she sighed and looked at the table. Jenny noticed Elisa's demeanor, and Kimberly noted both of their reactions. But we rescheduled to this Sunday. Keying her throat mic, Kimberly asked, Commander, do you need me in there yet? No, they're freaking out over the video of Robert Brown's interrogation and trying to say that they have rights. Call me when you want me to come in. Kimberly then knelt next to Elisa. If there's something you'd like to talk about it, I will listen. I promise not to judge or think less of you, okay? Okay, Elisa took a short breath, maybe later. Okay, but I need you to know something. Kimberly said just gently. She looked into Lisa's eyes. If any of the heaven's devils touched you in any way or made you do something out of fear, it's not your fault. Understand that? It wasn't any of them. It was before I knew about you. Oh, Kimberly said softly. Remember what Elisa said about her father going to a prison for kiddie porn and dying there. Just then, Kimberly's radio came to life. I do believe they are ready for you to come in, Red Assassin. How did you get someone from MI6? Jenny asked. I'll tell you later, Kimberly said as she stepped over to the door. Kimberly, wait, Corey called out from where he was seated at another table with more monitors. You left your hammer in the other room. Kimberly hurried back to the storage room, too, and retrieved the 4-pound drilling hammer before she entered storage room 1. Thomas is not looking too chipper. We're going to have to start with him before he gives up the ghost, Nora said. No wonder, Kimberly said, dropping the hammer onto the wooden plank table and dragging it along as she went to the far end where Thomas was secured. A .72 caliber slug can really ruin one's day. But they did say that that Doc can take care of his leg if he doesn't waste time being macho and refuse to answer the questions. What do you say? Are you going to cooperate? Nola asked. Thomas mumbled against the duct tape and shook his head yes weakly as his resolve faded away. Excellent, Nora said. I might get my tea on time today. Archer, headphones for the other two, please. All right. "20 minutes later, Thomas had revealed everything he knew about their plans, what other chapters were supposed to be coming, and from where. What perverted things they had done, where Eddie had hidden the envelopes with instructions in the RV. When Thomas had given everything he knew, several men came in and removed him so they could take him to Doc. Doc, hang on, I need to change this up. As it turned out, Doc, as it turned out, was the name of Harvey Judd's Alpha Sal Hogg. She took care of his leg and made short work of the rest of Thomas. Eddie took a bit more convincing. He held out to the third jolt from the welder. After they extracted all they knew about the gang's plan, Nora changed up the questioning to what his favorite foods were, and she got him to slip up and admit that he and Monk had eaten some of their young victims. When she Then she had Michael remove Monk's headphones and duct tape from his mouth. Monk, she said, began sweetly. Do you know what Eddie just told me? No. He said that the two of you enjoyed eating some of your victims. You idiot, Monk screamed. Why'd you tell him that? You lie about that shit. Too late, Nora said flatly. But before she could draw her pistol, Michael drew his and shot them both. When Michael and Kimberly and Nora came out of the room, they saw Alicia crying and Jenny trying and failing to console her. But those creeps are cannibals, and you took me into their camp. They took our supplies and truck. How could you do that? I didn't know, I swear, Alicia. I didn't know. There weren't any cannibals in the Albuquerque chapter. Yes, there were. You just weren't allowed to know about them. Most members don't know about them. A man wearing a full ski mask said as he walked up, Who are you? U.S. Federal Marshal Finley. He responded in a deeper voice than he had used before. And you are Staff Sergeant Holland. Yes, Jenny agreed, not sure if he had made a statement or if he had made a statement or asked a question. Question. What do you mean about not being allowed to know about the cannibals in the Albuquerque chapter? There's a group within most chapters that are cannibals. It's a very elite. It's the very elite of cannibals. Let me explain it this way. Let me explain another way. Group number one is everybody in the chapter. Most members of group number two are the more trusted members and leaders of the chapter. Group three are those from group two that are even more trusted, and most of those are cannibals. Not all, but most. There are a few that are brought in that don't go all the way for one reason or another, but are totally trusted to protect the cannibals. Sort of like the familiars with a witch or a vampire covens. There are cannibal groups in most of the chapters. My God, I didn't know, Jenny exclaimed in shock. That's because you, like most of the chapter, were kept away from them when they were doing that. Do you know if Charlie Flynn, his club name was Flag, was one of them? Or if he was one of them, or knew about them? No, according to records, he wasn't a cannibal, but he was in the uppermost group. However, he was always elsewhere when they did their thing. He was probably busy keeping you away from them at those times during your stay with the Albuquerque chapter of Heaven's Devils. He paused for a minute and looked at Alicia and continued. Your sister didn't know the truth about how bad the Heaven's Devils really were. If you need to blame someone, blame Charlie Flynn for overprotecting your sister and giving her a rose-colored perspective of the gang. Elisa pondered what Federal Marshal Finley said for a minute, then asked, Where is Charlie Flynn now? Michael spoke up quickly. Yesterday, the Albuquerque chapter of Heaven's Devils tried to get to the north rim of the Grand Canyon. They were intercepted just as the Barstow chapter was today. All members were terminated with the exception of 3 hostage families that were driving delivery tractor-trailer rigs for a grocery store chain and 1 undercover federal marshal, correct, Marshal Finley? Yes. Yes, it is. Now, when we interrogated Robert Brown, the lone survivor of the scout group for the Barstow chapter, he said the Albuquerque chapter was involved with a bit of fighting with another gang and didn't know if any had survived. Well, we know that we killed 282 plus any that were in the buses and the driver. We didn't go poking around in the ashes looking to count bodies. Jenny looked down sadly and sighed. Charlie was the only man who was good, who was ever good to me. I was kind of hoping that if he made it here, he was alive and being held for something, that I might return the kindness he did to me and save his life. No one said anything for a bit, and Jenny turned to her sister. Elisa, I'm so sorry I screwed up with Heaven's Devils. I had bad intel and made a worse decision. I'm not sure that I should make the next decision on my own. If I may make a suggestion, take a couple weeks here to gather good intel and get your sister trained in firearms and martial arts, Michael said. In the meantime, Nora interjected in her British accent, we have a dirty dozen denounced damsels to dispute. Let me say it again. Nora said in her British accent, we have a dirty dozen denounced damsels to dispute. Right, Kimberly said, then added in a hillbilly drawl, you all kind of talk funny. I'm just speaking the King's English, something you colonists forgot how to do. Nora fired back as she walked quickly away towards the door with her nose slightly raised. If she had a tight dress on, Michael started. What? Kimberly asked in a you better answer this right tone. She would look like one of those British runway models in the music videos, he continued. But you say they look stuck up. Yep, he said, and started walking towards the door. Wait a minute, Kimberly said quickly. Where do you think you're going? To the barn to help question the prisoners. Sorry, but only women. Michael, they are all naked. So? You two were in there questioning every naked guy so far. Kimberly opened her mouth, but nothing came out. Now, if there is a personal reason, I will listen to it and give it full consideration as to whether or not I will be in the room with you. But I will be outside ready to let arrows fly at the first sign of trouble. Fair enough, Kimberly sighed. I don't want you to see a naked woman besides me. And I'm not sure if any of these skanks are actually hot under their nasty smelling biker clothes. The guys have been but ugly, and I wish I could. Hang on here. I wish I could forget what they look like. She gave a disgusted shiver. Michael nodded. I'll wait outside for you to call me if you need me, but I want Staff Sergeant Holland to go in and do my work with the duct tape and stuff. Another test, huh? She asked. Not really, just pulling your weight, he replied. Don't forget your toys, Corey said as he and Brian walked by and added, my mom doesn't want me over at the barn while you have naked women in there. So Valerie will be running the AV. I'll be on GoTenna if she needs help troubleshooting anything. Thank you, Corey, Kimberly said. We'll go to town tomorrow and get a second set so you don't have to haul it back and forth. It's not a problem, Corey said cheerfully. Let's get going, Michael said, and he looked at Alicia. Do you want to stay here and get to know the other young women, or do you want to come watch the interrogation? As if on cue, a group of older teenagers walked up. Hi, I'm Sandra Jefferson. I'm 16. This is my cousin, Tamara. She's 15. Tamara added, you already met my sister, Jennifer. I'm Jenny Robinson. This is my cousin Stephanie Robinson. We're 18. Lori Peterson, I'm 18. I'm Alicia, I'm 17. So you're a fan of Juby Chan too? Jennifer asked as she joined the group. Kind of, Alicia responded. She's a bit more hardcore than I expected. That's because I would die to protect my family and extended family, but before I do that, I'll do a whole lot of killing first, Kimberly said as she turned and walked towards the door. That's why she's so hardcore. She protects us and teaches us, Sandra chimed in. Along with Archer, Grimm, and JT, Jenny added. You'll love it here, Jennifer smiled. Stay with us. You really don't want to see a bunch of old skags getting questioned. Jennifer, Jake Jefferson barked. Watch your mouth or I'll have Kimberly wash it out. Yes, Dad, Jennifer said, looking down. But why Kimberly and not you? Because you won't fight her on it, Jake laughed. Alicia, are you staying then? Michael asked. I guess so. The girls broke out in shrieks of giddiness. Okay. All right. Oh, we got it. 255E made it in. Can't stay. I hit the like button. Take care, folks. All right, Duke. Thanks for coming in. 2 hours later, the RV pulled up to the maintenance building. Michael had Major Houston, Kimberly, Janet, Monica, and Deputy Federal Marshal Finley and Staff Sergeant Holland go to classroom 2. He whispered to Nora to wait outside and to keep her persona going until he called her inside or said to stop. Then he went looking for Colonel Houston. Lieutenant Robinson, Staff Sergeant Grimm, and Benjamin. He found them in classroom 1 with Lisa Robinson, Marta Jones, and Abigail. All 3 girls were crying their eyes out. Michael told them that when they were done with this disciplinary hearing, he had another meeting set up in classroom 2, and could they please come there? He addressed everyone by name or last name for the parents to emphasize this was going to be an official meeting. When Colonel Houston, Lieutenant Robinson, Staff Sergeant Grimm, and Benjamin were seated, Michael turned to Colonel Houston and spoke. While the interrogation was being conducted at the barn, I took the opportunity to look through the Uniform Code of Military Justice and got a headache. Everyone chuckled. I was trying to find out what the different levels of procedures were for dealing with code violations, particularly since Staff Sergeant Holland said she was AWOL. I gave up and figured I would ask you, Colonel. There are several options available for our commanders to choose from. That's what I thought. I should have paid more attention when my parents were watching JAG and NCIS. More chuckles. I took the contact information that Staff Sergeant Holland gave me for Master Gunner Sergeant Kathy Dyer and attempted to contact her. And I was amazed to be able to text her. I found out that Eddie's sat phone and texted her the number. And 5 minutes later, she called me and confirmed Staff Sergeant Holland's story concerning Major Jackson's death, and she had nothing to do with it. Staff Sergeant Holland sat up straighter in her chair and breathed out heavily. However, hang on, you emphasize this. However, when I told her how Staff Sergeant Holland came to be in her company, including her leaving her unit to rescue her minor sister, and then trying to catch safe passage with Heaven's Devils, well, I'll just say that Staff Sergeant Grimm would have learned a whole bunch of new words if he was listening in on that call. Oh shit. Jenny muttered. M-U-T-T. Muttered, crestfallen. She relayed that her rich boss she went to work for when she got out of the Corps was retired Major Donaldson of the 4th Forcon. 2 days ago, they were requested to return to duty. Major Donaldson is now Brigadier General Donaldson and is in charge of setting up a new camp for training and rebuilding the 4th Forcon. Master Gunnery Sergeant Dyer is the head DI as a temporary active reserve. Turns out that the majority of the 4th Forcon was at MAS Yuma, and MAS is Marine Air Station. And they evacuated to different locations. One group relocated to Grand Canyon Junction and set up at the airport there. Most of them were killed when the meteor we saw broke in two in the south landed on them. The largest remaining contingent of the 4th Forcon is on its way to Idaho, with other units joining up as quickly as they can. The unit in Grand Canyon Junction is dealing with a lot of dead and injured. Everyone gasped, but Jenny gasped the loudest, and her lower lip began to quiver. Those that survived at Grand Junction are burying their dead and are trying to gear up to head to Idaho. Maybe. Hang on, Lee. 1, 2, 3. Delete. Maybe. If there are less than 20 that are combat worthy, Master Gunnery Sergeant is going to recommend they come here and reinforce us. If that happens, Master Gunnery Sergeant said to have you, Colonel, come up with a suitable punishment for her. For the STA staff, for the thing, I need to capitalize that. First S, punishment for the staff sergeant. Michael paused and took out Eddie's phone and handed Eddie's SAT phone and handed it to him. Master Gunnery Sergeant Dyer is coordinating on her side. Live stream. I'm setting up for you and General Donaldson in half an hour. Well, Albert took a deep breath and blew it out. Looks like we're back in the Corps. Well, suddenly there was a loud knock on the door. Enter, Albert called out. The door opened and Nora stepped in. Lieutenant Jackson, there's a Captain Cooper on the ham radio for you. Thank you, Commander. Kimberly replied as she got it. I'll be right back, and quickly left the room. As Kimberly exited the room, Nora said, he's on the cabin's contact frequency and the signal's very strong. All right. And we got another one in here watching. Thank you. Please say hi to the side chat. Kimberly walked over to the little communication center that a bunch of the teenagers, with some help from a few parents, had built in the corner of the East Bay by the roll-up door. It was only 6 feet by 12 feet, but it was soundproof and had a 12-volt powered AC and heater unit from an old camper trailer to maintain temperature inside. She opened the door and found Brian, Judd, and the twin sisters, Margot and Alicia, monitoring radios. Kimberly looked suspicious at the trio, so Brian spoke up. They use ham radio, CB, and CB sideband to talk to their farmer while he's driving his truck for work. They volunteered to help staff the radios. Mrs. Miller said that she would continue to monitor from the end just in case we missed something. Okay, Kimberly responded. Which headset can I use to talk to Captain Cooper? We can step outside if you want, Alicia said, or we can put on headsets so the other channels can't be heard. Headsets would be best, Kimberly responded. There you go. Margot said as she handed Kimberly a headset. Push to talk switch is on the cord, she pointed to it. Captain Cooper, this is Kimberly, over. All right. 35 minutes later, Kimberly headed back to the classroom when Norris stopped her and informed her that Michael had been able to set up the video live stream, the video links live stream with General Donaldson and Master Gunnery Sergeant Dyer. Kimberly handed her a thumb drive and some loose papers and asked her to scan the copies of the documents of, hang on, that's got to be capitalized, of Heaven's Devil's plans into PDF, as well as the Word doc transcript from Brown's interrogation, and compress them. Then she quickly removed her eye patch and put her special contact lens in and put it on her Zukin and Fukuman back on before entering the room. Okay, hang on a second here. Let me get this up there. I'll let it so you guys can read it. I got all right. Sorry, I was getting a little lightheaded. I forgot to have breakfast, so I made myself a hot dog. I wouldn't worry about trying to break any of the Heaven Devil's members to be able to find out what their plans are. We've had some experts that had to use some extreme measures, and it took them hours to break the one prisoner that we captured. Kimberly walked up to Colonel Houston, pulled two they're not sealed because they already made copies of them. So yeah. 2 envelopes out of Uwagi and handed it to them. What are those? General Donaldson asked. Colonel Houston looked up at Kimberly and nodded for her to answer. General, these are the plans and backup plans for Heaven's Devils that Eagle Eye Eddie, the president of the Barstow chapter, had hidden in the RV that he arrived in. One envelope has instructions of what to do if the North Rim was not available to be used as a winter over location. Contact information for various chapters that were to come here. Come here to let them know where to go. It also contains a list of alternate sites to use and what to do if those sites were also unusable. The second envelope is the overall plan for securing areas in the spring and setting up their own country. And he just turned those over to you with a little gentle persuasion from our head interrogator. Kimberly chuckled slightly. In fact, none of the Heaven Devils have been able to resist her questioning, even those that have I need to change that. Even those that have, no, I'm spelling it wrong. IT. Should be 2 T's in there. Yes. Committed cannibalism. Yeah. Even those that had committed cannibalism have admitted it to her. What? General Donaldson explained. Are you sure they are practicing cannibalism? Absolutely. She tricked several of them from the Barstow chapter and the Albuquerque chapter to admit it, and implicated others who also admitted it. These confessions were collaborated by an undercover federal marshal who had been infiltrating Heaven's Devils for over 6 years. My God, General Donaldson gasped in disbelief as he sat back in his chair. Suddenly, he sat up straight. Lance Corporal, he barked. A young female in MCCUU entered the camera view and saluted. Yes, sir. Get Walt, Sheriff Rogers, and Sack Davies in here on the double, and have Matt and Mark stand by. Aye, sir. She saluted and hurried off. Colonel Houston, can you scan those documents and email them to me? What do you want, Oliver? What? Yes. Oliver just asked permission to exercise on the treadmill, so. An email to me. Sir, Commander Smythe is converting the scans to PDF and compressing them. She is also preparing the audio recording and printed transcript of Robert Brown's interrogation. We will send the audio of the other interrogations to acceptable levels. General Donaldson and Master Gunnery Sergeant Dyer each cracked a slight smile at Kimberly's statement. Kimberly picked up on it, but didn't know what they were smiling about. Are you sure we need to put that information out there? Colonel Albert Houston asked. The sooner the government can show what the gangs are really doing, and that the gangs and the marauders can be beaten, and in some cases are beaten totally, the sooner the good people will band together and fight them, Kimberly answered. True, Albert Houston replied, but other counties and cities, communities, and groups of survivors don't have Juby Chen and Archer training them and fighting with them. Who else can take out 39 heaven's devils with just a sword in less than a minute and take 11 prisoners? Or eliminate 73 of them in less than a minute with a pair of CAR-15s on single shot while running between two rows of motorcycles? What, General Donaldson? I Master Gunner Sergeant shouted General Donaldson and Master Gunner Sergeant Dyer. There are plenty of other martial artists out there, and a bunch of them are former military, Kimberly protested before anyone could respond to those on the monitor. Babe, Michael spoke up softly. Yes. She said a little louder than she would have liked. I believe General Donaldson would like an explanation of what you did today and yesterday. Oh, Kimberly said a little softer. She blushed beneath her Zukin and Fukumin. Colonel Houston began. From what I've been told, yesterday she slipped behind the last 40 motorcycles in the Albuquerque chapter convoy. She had two CAR-15s with suppressors and 90 round drum magazines. With one in each hand, she ran it between two columns of motorcycles from behind, double tapping every passenger and driver. The front two she knocked out and took prisoner. Incredible, General Donaldson said. Today she did the same maneuver but used her ninja sword, katana. Kimberly, Michael, and Monica all said at the same time. But she was using her katana and decapitated 39 of them and stopped at the last motorcycle because they had raised their hands in surrender when the four pickups in front of them were swarmed by local residents. A half second before I was going to take her head, Kimberly said, pointing at Staff Sergeant Holland as she stared into the camera. Oh shit. Yeah, Jenny gasped. Oh shit. She buried her face in her hands. Oh shit. Kimberly looked over at Jenny and saw that she was pale as a ghost and thought she was going into shock. Are you okay? She shook her head no and spoke. I've never been so close to death before, and I didn't even realize it. Worse still, I nearly got my baby sister killed because I was stupid. I don't deserve to be a Marine. Yeah. I need to rework. I've read this sentence several times. I need to rework it. I just can't quite figure out how to make it sound right. I said, submit myself for general court-martial for going AWOL and endangering a civilian. You're not getting off that easy. Kimberly barked loudly before Colonel Houston or General Donaldson could respond that her punishment would be decided by Colonel Houston. I'll be more than happy to make you worthy to be a Marine. With their approval, you're back to recruit, and boot camp starts at 0530 with a 10-mile run and a backpack. My pack will weigh twice as much as yours, and I'll Just because you trip and land face first in a pile of dog crap does not give you the right to feel sorry for yourself. Am I clear? Staff Sergeant Jenny bolted from her chair and stood at attention. Yes, Lieutenant. Crystal clear, Lieutenant. Now give me 50. Kimberly ordered and turned to the camera and monitor. General, forgive me, I overstepped my authority, but I don't believe in throwing away a promising Marine because they made a mistake, especially one out of family love. Family love. I'll leave your punishment, Colonel Houston, in your hands, General Donaldson chuckled. I believe you will put the fear of failing back into her, Master Gunnery Sergeant Dyer said, then added, "What did the Colonel call you?" Michael spoke up quickly. Juby Chan, the Ninja Girl, a.k.a. Lieutenant Jackson, 3rd Forcon, assigned to the State Department. That in itself should scare Recruit Holland, Master Gunnery Sergeant Dyer noted. Um, 3 years ago, you said I was the scariest non-Marine that you ever sparred with. Now that I'm a Marine, am I the scariest person, period? Babe, Michael spoke up before Master Gunnery Dyer could recover from her shock of Kimberly's statement in question. What? Kimberly barked quickly and said, sorry. Yes, babe? Chuck Norris is afraid of you, Michael said with a deadpan voice. The room was dead silent for a couple seconds. Then a snort slipped from Staff Sergeant Grimm, followed by, "You're damn right he's scared of her. He was Air Force." With that, everyone in the room, including Kimberly and a struggling Recruit Holland, started laughing. Chuck Norris may be said to push the earth down when he does push-ups, Benjamin quipped. When he does push-ups, Benjamin quipped. But Kimberly pushes it up doing handstand push-ups. Major Donaldson chuckled in spite of himself at Benjamin's comment as the other two men joined him on the monitor. There was a knock on the door and it opened. Nora walked in and went straight to Colonel Houston and handed him a thumb drive. And in keeping in her persona, spoke in her British accent. The drives contain the scans of Heaven Devil's documents. The drive contains the scans of Heaven's Devil's plans, audio recording and transcript of the interrogation of Heaven's Devil's Barstow chapter member Robert Brown, the audio only on the interrogation of the 6 surviving members, 5 members of the Albuquerque chapter and the undercover federal marshal. I included that because it has witch doctor proudly professing to be a cannibal. Thank you for including that, Commander. Colonel Houston said. Excuse me, spoke one of the new men on the monitor. DHS Regional Special Agent in Charge, Chris Davies. That's a British Royal Navy uniform you're wearing, isn't it? Yes, it is. How observant of you. She nodded to the camera. Commander Eleanor Smythe of His Majesty's Royal Navy at your service, currently with MI6 and part of the interagency criminal containment unit assigned through your State Department and Department of Defense to assist military and law enforcement during martial law. I'm assigned to work with the Marines 3rd Forcon. Suddenly, another man slid in next to General Donaldson. Commander Smythe, is it? Yes, Mr. Vice President, and good afternoon to you. My condolences on the loss of Vice President Dick Morrison. Thank you. How did you know that? Yesterday's broadcast, Sheriff Rogers' home. Good afternoon, Sheriff Rogers. Walt Rogers tipped his hat to her. Am I understand you were part of Operation Shared Strength? I do not know exactly what the name of the operation was I was assigned to. However, I did hear there were there were several different operations being conducted that my fellow agents were being assigned to. Unfortunately, the names of those operations were marked as need to know and for higher ups only to know, not us in the trenches. Excellent, Matt Mitchell smiled. And what is the makeup of your teams? I was assigned to work with Lieutenant Jackson, and Anthony Middleton was to work with Lieutenant Moore. Unfortunately, Middleton was killed in a robbery at a pub, bar and grill. Nora answered, maintaining her British accent. We were supposed to have 12 troops to support our operation, but they were pulled off after Middleton's death. When was Middleton killed? September 21st in Phoenix at McGrath's Bar and Grill, Kimberly answered. Clarkson called me right after it happened and told me that we were now on the reserve list until he could shift another agent to join us. What was Clarkson's first name? Matt asked. He never said. He just answered the phone. Clarkson was steady, Nora replied. Do you have any idea where he was the last time you spoke with him? Matt asked. Lieutenant Jackson spoke with him last, Nora said. Well, from the background chatter, I presume it was an Air Force bunker in a mountain, Kimberly answered. What do you mean? I heard airmen get that door locked down, and Tech Sergeant, how soon until the air pumps are operational? The most telling was someone else saying, Bobby boy, ain't nothing going to touch us inside of this mountain. Are you sure it was Bobby boy? Chris jumped in. Yes. That's Robert Clarkson, CIA Wetworks string puller. His name was on the list for Cheyenne Mountain. Not to speak ill of the dead, but no one will shed a tear for him. The disdain was heavy in Chris's voice. Running foreign operatives with U.S. military personnel on and off U.S. soil and leaving them out to dry is right up his alley of dirty tricks. That might have explained what happened to most of 3rd Forcon. They were assigned to several missions for the State Department and never reported back. I have a feeling that Clarkson's projects failed with all personnel lost, Vice President Matt Mitchell said. Kimberly gasped, then said, so we are Ronin? Ronin? Matt asked. Samurai without a master. Not anymore. Your group will report to General Donaldson, who will coordinate with Sheriff Rogers and Sack Davies. Colonel Houston, you will be point. You will do what General Donaldson is doing here with the 4th Forcon. You will rebuild the 3rd Forcon. General, we were with Marine Corps law enforcement with the Marine Corps law enforcement program. We got out a year ago and became reservists. So are we active reservists or recalled to active duty? I hereby recall you to active duty, General Donaldson said. I, Major Houston and Colonel Houston said as they stood and came to attention. General Donaldson also returned to salute. Mr. Vice President, Kimberly asked, indicating she had a question. Go ahead. What about Commander Smythe? It kind of puts her in limbo. Vice President Mitchell paused in his response before answering. I'll talk with the president and have the entire operation moved under the preview of the military. Colonel Houston will be her direct point for any operations. For now, she'll be lead interrogator for any actions the 3rd Forcon has to make against any criminal elements. Thank you, Mr. Vice President, Norris said with a slight nod. What about the ex-Army Rangers? Michael asked with a mischievous grin. Hey, Peyton hollered, leave us out of it. I'm not joining back up. Are you sure about that, Gunnery Sergeant? The Vice President, Vice President asked. Yeah. Sir, the staff sergeant turned down 2 promotions to stay with the unit. He should be at least a master sergeant, Larry said. Thanks a lot, LT. I finally hook up with the one woman that makes me want to be monogamous, and you're trying to get me dragged back into the military, Peyton groused. And let me finish. He was loyal to the unit, which was his family. Over the last year, a lot of them had moved on to other units or returned to civilian life. It just wasn't the same. This is one reason we both got out. Sir, there's not a military base or facility here for us to be assigned to, Peyton said, and I don't want to be dragged off somewhere because some uninformed person says, let's move all military personnel to a base somewhere so we can keep an eye on them. I agree, General Donaldson said knowingly, but what do you suggest? Larry, Peyton, and the others looked confused at what to say. Nora spoke, keeping her British accent. Sheriff Rogers, you've written in many of your books about the need for some groups and areas to be protected, like in your Wild West, with the establishment of a system of fort outposts, I believe you call it. Yes, I did. I believe we will have to do that until we can eliminate the vast majority of gangs and marauders that will be springing up shortly. Walt replied grimly, with a hint of a smile. Kimberly caught the smile and asked, what would be required to set up a military fort here, guarding access to the north room facility, since the Heaven's Devils have shown repeatedly that they want to use this as one of their bases? Well, what land is available that won't impact local landowners? Can we put it in an airstrip? Vice President Mitchell started to list requirements, and Kimberly interrupted. Excuse me, Mr. Vice President. There is a lot of land that is national park property leading up to the Grand Canyon proper, as well as national forest property. So land is handled simply by transferring to the Marine Corps. There are several sections of State Route 67 that have straightaways that are a mile and a half long. One lane each way. And large meadows on both sides that would make great airstrips. Where we are here at Jacob Lake, there are several National Forest Service buildings here currently not being used and probably won't be for decades to come. They have shut down the North Rim site early, and there are a lot of federal buildings there as well. From here to the North Rim is 52 miles on State Highway 67, passing through federal lands. Those lands will make an excellent base. Kimberly quickly took a breath and continued. For local resources, there is the town of Fredonia, which is 30 miles away, and another 7 miles to Kanab, Utah. Also, we are in the Kaibab National Forest, and there is the old Kaibab lumber mill in Fredonia that can be rehabilitated. Plus, the Clarks have a portable sawmill, as do the Millers, so we can mill our own lumber for barracks or whatever. What other requirements are needed to be fulfilled? Just a map of the area and where the fort would sit, number of acres for the fort proper, and adjacent land to be included in its use, and the paperwork on our end. We'll get right on it, Colonel Houston said. And would Master Sergeant Grimm then be assigned here? For the duration, Vice President Mitchell said. Well, all right, I'll be a Marine. Peyton said reluctantly, asked Master Sergeant. Sir, what is the status of the fourth Forcon that survived the meteor impact at Grand Canyon Junction? Kimberly asked. Not good. Not good, General Donaldson sighed. They've reported 22 fully functional, 16 walking wounded, and 15 critical wounded. 6 of those are not expected to survive the day. We're not sure to Idaho. Kimberly stiffened and took a deep breath and turned to her mom and the Clarks. They nodded yes to her. She looked at Larry and Peyton. They also nodded yes. She returned back to the camera and monitor. Send them to us. The hospital in Kanab is fully functional, and we will meet them there and escort the remainder here. Do you have enough food for them for the winter? The vice president asked. Yes, Kimberly smiled wickedly. Thanks to heaven's devils, we have liberated a dozen semi-tractor trailers of food, as well as some bread trucks and a number of U-Haul trucks loaded with firearms, ammunition, explosives, both civilian and military. Well now, Walt, she sounds like a female version of you, Chris said, making everyone on the monitor laugh. I wish, Kimberly said. Walt, if you take the position of Chief Federal Marshal, I would get her as one of your deputy chiefs. A voice off camera said, I'll remember that, Dad. Walt said, looking off camera. Then he looked back at the camera. What would you like to call your fort? Master Gunnery Sergeant Dyer spoke up and in a breach of military etiquette used her first name, Kimberly. I don't know that I would call you the scariest person, but I would call you the most amazing Marine I know. And with that, I was thinking we should call your fort Fort James Jackson in honor of your father. Kimberly began shaking, and her breathing became halting as a wave of emotion swept over her like a tsunami. She clawed at her Zukin and Fumican. She pulled them off to reveal she was crying hard. She was trying to speak, but nothing would come out. Then General Donaldson spoke. I'm afraid we can't do that. Everyone on both sides of the camera looked on in confusion. A fort, camp, or base cannot be named for one who is not deceased. Kimberly balked a few seconds and then said, What? She blinked in disbelief. You mean my father is alive? She fell to her knees, and Michael quickly dropped to her side and wrapped his arm around her shoulders. I received news yesterday that Major James Jackson was being held prisoner by the Taliban and escaped on the 18th. He then made his way to Geyser Air Force Base in time to catch the flight out. On the 20th, he was on the USS Gerald Ford recuperating. 2 days ago, he was promoted to full colonel. Colonel Jackson is scheduled to arrive here at Camp Toon Tavern on the 13th to become my executive officer. James is alive, Monica said as she started crying and reached over and hugged Janet, who hugged her back. After Colonel Jackson is here, and when we can, we will send supplies for the 4th Forcon that will be there with you. And if you want, we can bring the 2 of you back here. Kimberly looked happily at General Donaldson, back at her mom, smiling even more. Then she looked at Michael, who smiled up at her, and a cloud descended over her face. Damn it, she muttered. Hang on, Damn it, she muttered. What? Michael asked, pretty sure he knew the answer. Damn it, I can't, she said a little louder. Babe, what's wrong? Monica asked. Don't you want to see your father? Mom, you know I do, Kimberly began, but who am I? Monica looked at Kimberly for a moment and then sagged her shoulders as she nodded that she knew what Kimberly was going to say. But before she could say it, Michael stood, lifting Kimberly with him, and said, You are my super hot, sexy ninja babe and your father's daughter. You have honor in your promises and won't go back on your word. Michael turned to the camera. General, Lieutenant Jackson gave her word to the people here to train them and to protect them until they could do that for themselves. She won't abandon her post just to be with her father. He wouldn't want her to, would he, Master Gunnery Sergeant Dyer? Kathy cleared her throat. No, in fact, he'd be disappointed if she did. General, is there any chance that when the flight with supplies comes, that Colonel Jackson come to escort his wife back to Camp Toon Tavern after spending an hour or two with his daughter while the flight crew have a meal and rest up for the return trip? Michael asked. I think that quickly. Then added with a smile. Super hot, sexy ninja babe? And fiance, Michael added. Well, that explains a few things. When's the happy occasion? Saturday, Michael and Kimberly said together as they looked at each other. DHS SAC Chris Davies started laughing. She's a lot like you, Walt. She's even getting married on the same day that you and Sarah are. Kimberly's head snapped back to the camera monitor. Would that be lightning death? Yes, those on the camera all said together. Well, that explains her title on the video of you being sworn in, Mr. Vice President, Kimberly said. What are you talking about? He replied, looking very puzzled, as did everyone else on the monitor. In the video you being sworn in, it froze for several seconds, and everyone that was there had their name and title superimposed over them, except for her. Hers said, Under Sheriff Lightning Death. Didn't you know that? Kimberly looked at him apprehensively. Chris and Walt looked at each other. Sal, they said. Oh, all right. Gonna hydrate. We have a request from another group to come join up with us. Hang on, back up here. Up here. Hang on. Yes, what do you want, Oliver?
I wonder when this one's gonna be home. This will take you for a long time.
Probably not for another 20 to 25 minutes. She'll be home in time for you to get ready to go to kindergarten. Change the subject back a bit. When would the members of the fourth start this way? It's at least a 4.5 hour drive, maybe more depending on the equipment they will be bringing and the route they take. Michael asked. General Donaldson looked off camera. Lance Corporal, they'll be on the road in about 20 minutes, came the reply. Good, Kimberly said. We have a request. We have a request from another group to come join with us. Who? Benjamin asked with some concern in his voice. Captain Cooper's group, she replied, looking at Benjamin. Their compound was also hit by a meteor 2 nights ago. They've been digging out surviving members and burying their dead. They're 2.5 hours from here, due north. They lost over half their group and they need trucks, some trucks to haul supplies. They have a lot that they and we do not want falling into the enemy, the wrong hands. She turned back to the camera. General, Mr. Vice President, please excuse us. We need to plan a rescue. We would like to watch how you do it, General Donaldson said as he sat back and folded his arms across his chest. Kimberly nodded and turned to Larry, nodded as he quickly fell into his Army leadership role. We need to get them and secure their armory. Larry spoke up quickly. With everything we saw them load up to take up there, we don't want any of that falling into the wrong hands. We have 4 of the 26-foot U-Haul trucks that are empty, Michael said, and 2 of the 53-foot trailers are almost empty. Colonel Houston said, it's a good thing you had so many empty cargo containers. There. Your people have been very efficient in sorting and moving supplies around, he said to Michael. Did Captain Cooper say how much or how many trucks and trailers they would need? Michael asked Kimberly. He said they had 4 high-cube 40-foot cargo containers that are all full. But what is full? Kimberly answered. They could have shelves, and the shelves are full, but the center aisle is not. Peyton, Master Sergeant, get everyone to hurry up and finish unloading those 2 53-foot trailers as fast as possible. Colonel, can you get with Bob and Jake and let them know we need about 30 people to help load and stand watch while we load? Then get your rig and hook up to one of those 53-footers and get Chuck Brighton to hook his up to the other one. As soon as Michael told him what to do, Peyton got up and headed out the door and was followed shortly by Albert. Dad, get your truck hooked up to the automated safety hitch. Oh, boy. All right. Ooh, sorry. I got to go talk to Mother Nature. She's being very forcefully speaking at me. Okay, back. Alrighty. So let's see. Okay, Dad, get your truck hooked up to the automatic safety hitch system and the 36-foot deck trailer. Make sure you have enough chains, binders, and straps to carry one of the cargo containers as soon as it is empty. Mom, get Kimberly's truck and go hook up the trailer for the excavator. Load the excavator with the pallet hook and the pallet jack. Get Susan to hook up her race car trailer and truck. Michael turned to Kimberly. Go call Douglas back and find out if they have any farm tractors with pallet forks on them. If they do, how many? And do they have trailers to haul them on? If they do, radio my mom so she can either not load the excavator, grab the dump trailer, or just bring your truck back here. As Benjamin and Janet started to leave, Monica spoke to Janet. Get my truck. Kimberly and Michael need theirs to be unencumbered if there's trouble. Michael nodded in agreement and looked at Jenny. Recruit Holland, go with them and help out. Aye, sir. Larry, Michael continued. Can you get hold of Marshall Pratt and let him know what's happening within reason? Then Chief Peel and have him get the hospital ready for 16 walking wounded and 15 critical wounded. Sure thing, Larry responded. And Larry, you diverted the question of your status to Peyton's. Are you coming to the Corps? What rank? Larry said, looking at General Donaldson. I'm sorry, but if I have to deal with these two super Marines, I like to be I'd like to be a captain at least. Larry said as he rolled his eyes and cocked his head towards Michael. Captain, it is. General Donaldson chuckled. C-H-U-C-K. Chuckled. You should have tried for major. I'll run that up the chain in 6 months if I want it. Good enough. General Donaldson, General, Mr. Vice President, Michael said apprehensively, I have a request regarding Colonel Jackson. What is it? General Donaldson asked. I believe that Kimberly would like you, General, to order everyone that knows Kimberly is in the Corps not to talk to Colonel Jackson about his daughter being a Marine. I believe she would like to surprise him in person. I also believe that she would like to wait to get married until he can be here to give her away. Michael took a deep breath. So with that in mind, Mr. Vice President, I would like you to instruct General Donaldson to give that order. If you tell him to do it, then Colonel Jackson won't hold it against his immediate superior officer. Sounds like a tactical maneuver, Vice President Mitchell said. Yes, and one I thank you for, General Donaldson said with a smile of relief. At our wedding, I'll tell him that I asked you to do it as a wedding present for her so she could surprise him. We can do that, Vice President Mitchell agreed with a smile. Oh, man, shoot. Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. Mother Nature's really shouting at me. I'll be right back. Oof. All right, I'm back. Oh man, I'm not sure what I had yesterday, but man, Mother Nature is not happy with me. All right. Oh, we got more people coming in. Please hit the thumbs up and say hi to those in the side chat. All right. Let's see. Oh, yeah. If she decides to go ahead with the wedding this Saturday, we'll record it and have Colonel Houston upload it to you so you can show it to him at the proper time. All right. Give us a call this evening and let us know how the rescue of the Cooper group the rescue of the Cooper group and the medical treatment of the fourth went, Vice President Mitchell instructed. Whose sat phone were we calling? Mine, Walt Rogers said. We're going to go through all the gear that we have collected from Heaven's Devils to see if there's any more sat phones. You might want to check too. We'll get right on it, Walt said. We have just been storing their gear in an old barn, in an old building until we had time to check through it. Now it has a priority for our communications. I think that covers all the planning that we can do here. Everything else will have to be adjusted in the field, unless you have any suggestions, Michael said. Just one, General Donaldson said. You're no longer ranking officer now that the Houstons and Captain Robinson are active duty. Step back and let them carry the load. Aye, sir, gladly. Just one recommendation, and that is promote Major Houston to Lieutenant Colonel. Excellent idea, Vice President Mitchell said. Major, you are now Lieutenant Colonel. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. We will talk later tonight, General Donaldson said. Until tonight, Vice President Mitchell said and ended the live stream. All right. When Kimberly found out that that Douglas's group had 3 tractors with forks and trailers to haul them on, she had the wherewithal to tell Douglas that they had items palletized to pull those items out. So Benjamin grabbed the cargo container and haul it back to their new site, while the pallets were being loaded into trailers and U-Hauls to haul them back here. She also let Janet know to move the excavator with the pallet forks and the pallet jack, along with her Coyote tractor and its forks, down to the Jacob Lake Group campground and picnic site. 5 hours after heading out, Benjamin was pulling into the Jacob Lake Group campground and picnic site. While it had 3 nice big octagon gazebos and pit toilet buildings and lots of picnic tables and barbecues, it was 50 yards off State Route 67 and a little visible from U.S. Route 89A. He dropped the container off so that it blocked the view of the campground from the highway. 20 minutes after Benjamin dropped the cargo container off, Susan arrived and backed up her 38-foot race car trailer to the cargo container. It had been only 40 minutes ago that the 4th Forcon had radioed that they were leaving Page because the convoy was limited in speed to the slowest unit in it, and was trying not to bounce the wounded around. The trip took over an hour longer than planned. Kimberly and Colonel Houston followed one of the U-Hauls down to where Johnson Canyon Road hits U.S. Route 89 to wait for the convoy of the 4th Forcon coming from Grand Canyon Junction. They were waiting there about 10 minutes when Hanson Peel, police chief of Kanab, pulled up. Kimberly introduced them to Colonel Houston. They were explaining what happened during the meteor shower when Fredonia City Marshal James Patt drove up. After talking for a few minutes, Nola invited them to come to this evening's report to Homeland Security. She purposely neglected to say that the vice president might be on the call. They agreed to come, and President Peel said he could escort the wounded Marines to the hospital as soon as they got there. Kimberly suggested that Lieutenant Colonel Houston transfer to the lead Humvee and guide the non-wounded Marines to the Forest Service workstation, and that she, Kimberly, would escort the vehicles of the wounded to the hospital to offload them, and then escort them the rest of the way to the service workstation. Then Chief Peel and Marshal Pratt could escort the groups of trucks and trailers down through Kanab and Fredonia and follow the last group all the way to Jacob Lake. Nola agreed that was probably the best division of duties. Benjamin came up the road, flashing his headlights at the patrol vehicles, partially blocking the turnoff to Johnson Canyon Road. Peel and Pratt scrambled and moved their vehicles out of the way. Benjamin stopped and said that he was grabbing another cargo container. It would be the last load tonight. They would get the other two in the morning. About 5 minutes later, the fourth Forcon convoy arrived with 4 joint light tactical vehicles and 2 light armored vehicles, air defense variant, and 7 medium tactical vehicle replacements, 2 Cougar 6x6 MRAPs, and anything that could pull a trailer that had anything that could pull a trailer had 1 or 2 trailers behind it. Kimberly and Colonel Houston walked out onto the highway to meet him. Their senior officer was Lieutenant Zach Paulson, who was 6 months' time in service and one of the walking wounded. Following behind him was another Marine unit, members of the logistic combat element of the 1st Marine Logistics Group. They had 2 medium tactical vehicle replacements, 6x6 vehicles, towing 53-foot trailers, 2 HET 1A vehicles towing triple 40-foot trailers, and 4 MTRV 16.5-ton load handling system 8x8 vehicles carrying 20-foot cargo containers, and 2 LVSRs with 40-foot cargo containers on their tank transport trailers. The critical wounded were in 2 of the MTRVs, along with 4 of the less injured walking wounded. After shifting the rest of the walking wounded to the 3rd MTRV, these followed Kimberly to the Kane County Hospital in Kanab. 8 of the uninjured Marines drove the vehicles and attended to the critical wounded. Police Chief Peel had the hospital staff call all off-duty personnel, and a team was set up, and a team was assigned to reverse triage those that could be quickly treated and released out of the way so they could concentrate on the others. 8 walking wounded were treated and released. 1 of the critical wounded was pronounced deceased on arrival. Another died shortly after arrival, and a third died in surgery. Lieutenant Colonel Houston took Lieutenant Paulson's spot in the lead JLTV and guided the rest of the Marines to the Forest Service station. Bob Miller and a couple of others had put the word out that the Marines would need mattresses and linens if they were to stay and help fight the gangs, and others that wanted to take everyone's supplies. Yes, Oliver?
Let's spend the night.
We'll talk about it after you get home from school, okay? Go. Your mom's here. Lieutenant, take everyone's supplies. Supplies came in quickly from Fredonia and Kanab. 63 mattresses, 84 sets of lemons were delivered to the Forest Service station. Bob met Lieutenant Colonel Houston at the new Marine barracks and informed them that they would be milling lumber for bed frames in the morning, and in the morning after the morning PT run and PT. Corey, Kirby, Rose Jensen, and Farrah Peterson had gotten into the main office of the Forest Service workstation and found where the Rangers had hidden the password for the government intranet satellite, and were able to get it up and get the intranet up and running. Corey figured out that if the Forest Service workstation was going to be the center of the Marine camp, they would need the intranet working to get orders, information as such, as well as report their status back to their command. When Kimberly escorted the Marines who transported the walking wounded and critically wounded to the hospital down to the new barracks, they found a total of 22 fully functional, 4 on light duty, 4 on limited duty, of the 4th Forcon, and 28 logistic combat element drivers. Douglas Group was setting up in the Jacob Lake Group campground and picnic area as Kimberly drove by from the hospital. Benjamin had 3 pickups with Benjamin and 3 pickups with trailers were just finishing loading the second cargo container when one of Chief Peel's officers arrived to escort them. After Kimberly dropped off the 4th Forcon Marines off with Colonel Houston and Lieutenant Colonel Houston, she headed over to the Jacob Lake Group campground and picnic site to talk to Douglas. She found Michael talking to Douglas and his father, Martin, and what appeared to be Douglas's girlfriend. Hi, Douglas, Mr. Cooper. Hang on, I need to fix this up. Kimberly said, then turned to the woman. Are you the one I have to thank for the special contacts? Yes, I'm Donna Griggs. Thank you very much. They work great. I wish I knew about them last year. I don't, Michael muttered. What? Kimberly asked in surprise. If you had those last year, you would have worn them a lot, and somebody might have asked you out, and you might have had a boyfriend when the news broke. Michael sighed slightly. Then we wouldn't be engaged. Oh, you're right, Kimberly smiled. Turned to Michael, put her arms around his neck, climbed up on him, and kissed him deeply. 6 more days, Lieutenant Moore, and then we get to do this naked, she said as she broke the kiss and climbed down. 6 days? What happened to 22 months? Douglas asked. We did a reset on our engagement. Kimberly looked down at the ground. I was becoming a basket case and driving everybody else to drink. So we redid the proposal and everything the right way, talked out what date we wanted to get married this Saturday. Began hesitantly, what about waiting for, we will do 2 ceremonies, Kimberly said firmly. He wouldn't want to keep us waiting until he was able to get here. We need to talk about it, but I was thinking just about doing a small one Saturday and a big one when he gets here. However, we will talk tonight, get my mom's input before we set it in stone, if that's all right with you. Just so long as you talk to her first. I'm good either way. A little confused here, Douglas said. Who he are you talking about? This afternoon, I was informed by General Donaldson my dad is not dead. Kimberly choked up again and couldn't speak. Michael continues story. Major James Jackson was being held prisoner by the Taliban and escaped on the 18th. He then made his way to Geyser Air Force Base in time to catch the last flight out. On the 19th, he was aboard the USS Gerald R. Ford recuperating. 2 days ago, he was promoted to full colonel. Colonel Jackson is scheduled to arrive in Idaho at the new Marine base there called Camp Toon Tavern on the 13th to become General Donaldson's executive officer. What? Douglas explained. He's alive. Yeah, and he's supposed to accompany the supply lift to us sometime around the 18th to 20th. He'll spend several hours here while we feed the crew and they rest up for the flight back. During that time, we'll get married again. She turned to Michael. If that's all right with you, my love. Of course it is. You just have to make sure your father knows that I wanted to wait. Hang on, that I wanted to wait. Coward, Kimberly giggled. I may be foolish, but I'm not stupid. No, that would be very smart, Douglas said. Douglas, how many non-active duty Marines do you have with you? Douglas stiffened. Why, may I ask? The third FORCON was all but eliminated by a bunch of State Department operational programs that went totally south. We've been asked to recruit and rebuild it here. General Donaldson is doing the same thing in Idaho for the fourth FORCON. We have 30 members of the fourth FORCON here and 21 more in the hospital. Shoot, hang on. I think this 30 members is wrong. I think I did my math wrong here. Let me double check this. Go back up here. Okay, 22 fully functional, 4 on light duty, and 4 on limited duty for a total of 30. Yep. Okay, that was right. Um, 21 more in the hospital in Kanab. They got nailed by meteors at Grand Canyon Junction the same night you did. They may be transferred into the third to help rebuild it. Colonel Houston and Lieutenant Colonel Houston were Marine Corps law enforcement program and retired a year ago, but stayed in as reservists. They were reactivated today to help resurrect the third, Michael said. We're hoping that might come back and help train the recruits we get. There's no base around here, Douglas said. Army Ranger Staff Sergeant Grimm and Lieutenant Robinson said the same thing and wouldn't come on board if there was a chance they'd be shipped off elsewhere, Kimberly explained. That's when Commander Eleanor Smythe addressed Sheriff Rogers and asked him about some of his books and the need for some groups and areas to be protected, like in the Wild West, with the establishment of a system of forts. He said he believes that we have to do that until we can eliminate the vast majority of gangs and marauders. Then he asked, "What would you like to call your fort?" We're setting up a fort here per the vice president. Master Gunnery Sergeant Dyer suggested Fort James Jackson. That's when General Donaldson informed us that her dad was still alive, Michael explained. So we have to come up with another name for the live stream conference call tonight, Kimberly added. And now that Master Sergeant Grimm and Captain Robinsons have joined the Marine Corps, we still need a real Marine major to oversee the training part. I don't know, Douglas said slowly. He chewed his lower lip. Can you just come and listen, ask any questions you have before you make up your mind? Kimberly asked. Doug, why not go and find out? Why not go and find out what it is all about? Donna asked. Are you sure? Douglas asked his girlfriend. Why not? You're not running off to enlist and ship off somewhere else. Donna quipped. Then as an afterthought, added, "Will you?" Not if I can help it, Kimberly interjected quickly. See, she just wants you to help. How did you put it? She looked at Michael. Oh, yeah. Resurrect the third. So go set up Camp Resurrection. I'll come, but no promises other than asking a bunch of questions. Sounds good to me. Now, any non-active Marines that might want to help out and support roles? All right, we're going to wrap it up here. It's been 3 hours. Let me highlight the next stage starting. So I have a nice, good, bright yellow thing there. There we go. Oh, and drop me down here. All right, so coming up tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern for Tactical Tuesday. The topic is, let me get it up here and get it out. I know it's about creating your group, prepping group, but I want to get it right here. Yeah, creating a prepper group. So we're going to talk about things you need to do to create a prepper group, and the pitfalls and the benefits of it. And so that's for tonight. Tomorrow, I'm changing the start time tomorrow because I have something I have to do. So what do I got it in there as? Yeah, so I'm starting an hour later tomorrow. So I'm starting at 12 o'clock noon tomorrow, Wednesday, because I have to go up to Idaho Falls and get some stuff done in the morning, and the bank doesn't open until 9. So I got to be up there to go to the bank and then come back, and we'll start up at 12 o'clock Eastern time, or as soon as I can kick it off in the morning. They may be as early as 9:30, but I got to be at the bank at 9 o'clock tomorrow, so I can't start at 9 o'clock. Then Thursday, we'll be back down to 9 o'clock start time on Thursday for the continuing on editing. Thursday night is the midnight ride. Friday on Camp Patton Family Compound in the evening is starting seeds. And then Saturday, we got the 3 live streams on Saturday, 10 o'clock for editing the book, 2 o'clock for Shadow Scout live stream, which I'll be co-streaming as well on Gray Man Prepping. And then Survival Saturday is after the banks are taken over. What are your plans? And so it's going to be talking about a little bit financial planning on that and in response to that. All right, everyone. With that, make sure everything's here taken. Yeah. With that, we're going to wrap it up here now, and I will see you tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern for Tactical Tuesday. All right. Take care.